here's a little piece of news you may have missed this week that kind of just only lasted a day. So we'll kind of get into it, what it means. So just yesterday, I believe, as of this video, Zenimax Workers United, backed by the Communication Workers of America Union, went on a strike in Texas, Maryland, and other locations. Here's some pictures. What the tweet says: "Thank you for all coming out to our strike today in Austin, Hunt Valley, Richardson, and Rockville. Tomorrow we report back to work fired up, knowing that there's community and solidarity. We look forward to the push our strike brings to future negotiations about our demands." Now, key questions that I should answer here in this video is: what are they going on the strike about? How does it affect the games in production and development potentially for things like Doom? Because this is not just Zenimax Online Studios, we're talking about Zenimax Media as a whole, with several IPs being worked on by some of these QA workers like Fallout, Doom, Elder Scrolls, and so on and so on. So what Microsoft and Zenimax are being accused of by the unions are basically that they are outsourcing work specifically meant for their in-house quality assurance employees without talking to the unions about it. And that can be a contentious and legal issue, especially when you take into account that Microsoft did kind of pave the way for the CWA and Zenimax QA union to essentially form. In January 2023, Zenimax Workers United, CWA, formed the first video game studio union at Microsoft. I believe we covered it in the previous video as well, representing over 300 QA workers in Maryland and Texas. Last month, Communications Workers of America Union filed an unfair labor practice charge against Zenimax for contracting out work without notification. The union members have raised concerns that Zenimax's recent unilateral decision to outsource quality assurance work threatens job security amid record layoffs across the video game industry. A press release stated that Zenimax Workers United CWA members have raised concerns that Zenimax's recent unilateral decision to outsource quality assurance work threatens job security amid record layoffs across the video game industry. The strike comes off the heels of another multi-state action where video game workers at Microsoft subsidiaries Activision held rallies in California, Minnesota, and Texas to demand that the company provide exceptions to in-office requirements after implementing a return-to-office mandate. What is kind of ironic here is that the CWA actually backed the mergers in regards to Activision Blizzard, which again sort of saw over 2,500 layoffs after the merger. It was very obvious what was coming. Acquisitions and mergers usually do lead to layoffs, and of course, a lot of layoffs happened under Phil Spencer's leadership, and a lot of this can be attributed to leadership issues, management issues, carelessness with finances, just a lot of things that could have been avoided. And of course, because in the name of profit, revenue, and so on, of course, for investor calls, they have to do layoffs. Of course, it doesn't really help with the fact that the number one cost or expense for a lot of these companies or studios that have been shut down recently under Xbox or Microsoft are people. So it is good to see that the unions are trying to protect developers in these times where layoffs are incredibly common occurrence. I think we're in the tens of thousands at this point after 2023 and 2024, which had resulted in 23 of 77 contract workers that have been welcomed into the union being converted into full-time employees. Great. But what's next? Because this strike that we just kind of covered only lasted a day. Obviously, what this means for the consumer end, because that's where a lot of people's concerns are going to be, is there's not going to be any kind of delays on already kind of slated productions or games coming out, including the Indiana Jones game that Bethesda's putting out. There's also, I think, this sense that this strike was more about kind of gauging how much support they have from people not in the union, but also it's a warning shot to Microsoft saying, hey, we kind of see where you're going with some of your scummy practices here. You better address this now, or there's going to be more strikes in the future. We've demonstrated that we can have hundreds of people walk out of work, go on a strike outside the workplaces, and we will refuse to do work for you if you don't come to the table right now. And there actually was a Microsoft spokesperson that told Eurogamer yesterday that we respect our employees' rights to express their point of view as they have done today. We will continue to listen and address their concerns at the bargaining table. I'm personally not confident in Microsoft or Xbox suddenly becoming like charitable or incredibly nice corporate overlords that they make themselves out to be. But it's better than nothing. Long term, we could see more potential strikes if Microsoft or Zenimax Media don't come to the table with these unions in regards to some of what they're doing. And considering that, you know, this union in particular that we're talking about for Zenimax is the largest, or one of the largest rather, unions in the video game industry, is going to certainly be a factor. And this is something to keep an eye on for sure, especially as a gamer and consumer, or if you're just kind of into the market. And that's really it for the news. It's a bit small, but it could be a little pebble that sort of kind of maybe merges into an avalanche later. So I'll see you guys in a bit.